Berlin, 1945. As the Red Army approached the city center, the German capital plunged into chaos and destructions. Deep underground, beneath the Reich Chancellery, Adolf Hitler was living his final days in what was known as the Führerbunker. Surrounded by a few close associates, exhausted and isolated. Issuing fertile orders to collapsing armies, while Berlin breathed its last breath. How did Hitler live his final moment? Who was in the bunker with him, and did he really commit suicide? On the afternoon of April 20, 1945, Hitler emerged into the courtyard of the Reich Chancellery above the bunker to award medals to teenage boys from the Hitler Youth, who had taken part in defending the city against the Soviet tanks, as desperate scene reflecting his final reliance on children to defend the Reich. By evening, Hitler celebrated his 56th birthday in a gloomy atmosphere. Despite the dire situation, some top Nazi officials visited Hitler's bunker to offer congratulations and urged him to flee Berlin for Bavarian Alps strongholds before it was too late. Hitler firmly rejected all such appeals, declaring he would never leave the capital. The celebration was somber and artificial. Hitler sat silent and absent-minded, and the gathering didn't last long. He excused himself early and withdrew to his room. After Hitler left the hall, Eva Braun, his devoted mistress, attempted to lighten the mood by leading the woman and some officers to her old salon above the bunker. For a farewell party, she played music and danced. Trying to forget the grim reality, as the shells exploded above the bunker, others joined with forced laughter and drinks. But the sound of artillery dominated the scene, making the final night resemble an historical dance on the edge of the abyss. On April 22, during the critical military meetings in the bunker, Hitler broke down for the first time in front of his commanders. His plan for counterattack, led by General Felix Steiner, had completely failed. He shouted at his general, "Everyone has betrayed me and failed." After the meeting, Hitler summoned his doctor, Dr. Van Hasse, to ask about a guaranteed method of suicide. The doctor advised combining cyanide with gunshot to the head. The final blow came on April 28, when Hitler received shocking news about one of his closest and most powerful men, Heinrich Himmler, head of the SS. International media reported that Himmler was attempting to negotiate a separate surrender with Western allies behind Hitler's back. To Hitler, this was an unforgivable act of treason, a stab in the back from someone he considered one of his most loyal followers. Amid his emotional collapse, Hitler directed his rage at Hermann Fegelein, his brother-in-law and Himmler's representative in the Führer's headquarters. Fegelein had been caught just an hour earlier trying to flee Berlin in civilian clothes with fake documents. Coinciding with the report of Himmler's betrayal, Hitler saw Fegelein's attempt to escape as an extension of his treachery. He immediately ordered his executions by firing squad in the Chancellery garden. After the execution, a heavy silence fell over the bunker. Hitler realized he could no longer trust any one of his top commanders. He began to believe that everyone was conspiring against him, even doubting the effectiveness of his cyanide capsules he had saved for suicide. He suspected Himmler might have been tampered with him. To eliminate his doubt, Hitler summoned Dr. Haas and ordered him to test one of his cyanide capsules on his beloved dog, Blondie. The doctor took the dog to a hallway outside Hitler's room, placed the capsules in her mouth, and within seconds, Blondie collapsed and died. The doctor returned and confirmed the capsules were effective. Hitler reportedly muttered bitterly, "Himmler's poison. Turns out it actually works." In the early hours of April 29, around 1:30 a.m., Adolf Hitler married Eva Braun in a brief ceremony held inside the bunker's map room. The wedding was attended by two witnesses, Propaganda Minister Joseph Goebbels and Hitler's private secretary Martin Bormann. The bride wore a simple blue dress and signed the registry as Eva Hitler for the first time. After the ceremony, Hitler and his wife and the remaining members of his inner circle gathered on a bunker's dining room. They exchanged congratulations in a death-laden atmosphere, wishing one another a quick end. Later that day, Hitler received shocking news. Benito Mussolini, the fascist leader of Italy and his longtime ally, had been captured and killed by Italian partisans the previous day, his body publicly mutilated. This news confirmed for Hitler that suicide was the only one way to end his life without the humiliation capture. At dawn on Monday, April 30, 1945, Soviet troops were just a few hundred meters away from the bunker as street fightings raged across Berlin. Inside the bunker, Hitler appeared pale and exhausted, weighed down by depression and psychological collapse. He gathered the remaining officers and aides for one final meeting. Around 20 people were present in a narrow corridor inside the bunker, including Goebbels, Bormann, several generals, two secretaries, Dr. Haas, nurses, and the staff. Hitler silently approached each person and shook their hand, whispering farewells they were barely audible. He then gave a brief farewell speech in a faint voice, announcing his intention to commit suicide rather than being captured. He released everyone from their personal oath of loyalty, encouraged them to try to escape. He then met privately with Dr. Haas to discuss the exact method of suicide. Hitler and his doctor carefully reviewed the suicide method to ensure it would be quick and foolproof. He insisted that Eva Braun die at the same moment, simultaneously with his gunshots. The doctor conveyed these exact instructions to her. Hitler then returned to his private quarters to spend his final hours with his wife and two of his secretaries. He had a light lunch around 2 p.m. Afterward, he thanked his staff and distributed cyanide capsules to the secretaries in case they were captured. Around 2:30 p.m., Hitler and Eva left the dining room and headed toward his private study in the bunker. In the hallway, Hitler shook hands with the others one last time. Trudy Jung, Hitler's youngest secretary, recalled that when he took her hand, his gaze was distant and unfocused, and he muttered incomprehensible farewell words. Eva Braun hugged her and said, "Please, try to get out of here and give my regards to Bavaria." She then followed her husband in the room and the door closed behind them. Around 3:30 p.m., the sound of a gunshot rang out. The concrete hallway trembled briefly, then silence returned. Heinz Ling, Hitler's valet, and Martin Bormann approached the study and opened the door. They found Hitler slumped on the sofa, leaning to his right, with his pistol beside him and the bullet wound to the head. Next to him, Eva Braun lay lifeless with no visible wounds, her expression indicating death by poison. Officer Otto Günsche entered to confirm the deaths. In a low voice, he declared,
"The Führer is dead."
Hitler's final instructions were carried out quickly. Ling and Günsche wrapped his body in a blanket. While others carried Eva's corpse, they took both bodies in a chancellery garden, doused them with fuel, and set them on fire. Several people, including Goebbels and Bormann, stood at the bunker entrance and gave a final salute, before retreating back inside under heavy shelling. By that evening, Hitler has ended his life, leaving behind ashes of war that had claimed millions. The next day, German radio officially announced Hitler's death and named Admiral Karl Dönitz as his successor. 2 days later, Berlin's garrison surrendered to the Red Army. On May 8, 1945, Germany officially surrendered unconditionally. What happened in the bunker became a symbol of the fall of the Third Reich and the collapse of its regime.